So Zane's got the special effects going again. All right, we're in for another cheesy hangout here. Thank you so much, Alan, for that introduction. That was awesome, fantastic. And you know what's really cool? Marlon Sanders gives a shout out to Todd Gross, and Todd Gross gives a shout out to me. I mean, this makes me feel like I'm, you know, one of those pioneers in the industry. You guys are making me feel like a dinosaur here. This is cool. Anyway, nice to see. I've met a lot of you in person. I've met Warren in person several times, obviously. Alan, as he said, I shoved a camera in his face and shoved a mic in his face. Marlon and I hung out in Colorado a few years ago. And Todd, I've interviewed. Tracy, I've talked with many times. There's only a couple of you that I haven't actually interacted with, so this is kind of like a homecoming here. It's going to be a fun hangout. Now, Alan, you are going to have to test your moderator skills for about 10 minutes shortly. I'm just waiting to get a call here that I might have to duck out for just 10, 15 minutes, and I'll be right back. So you get to see if you can actually handle the crowd just for a little while.
Oh,
so
I got to get a chair ready.
Yeah.
I have a chair.
You got a chair? Okay, cool. So we've got a lot of good questions.
I have a chair just to tame people, you know.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, because these guys are just like lions. Yeah, they're a little out of control.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. No, I think we got a good group here. This is going to be fun. So we have a bunch of questions here. Obviously, we're focusing on copywriting and funnels tonight, and we've had a bunch of really good questions submitted from the audience. So let's start out with, this is kind of one of the basics. This starts with a foundation. Vonda from Arizona wants to know, she says, I'm interested in learning how to set up a sales funnel, and I hear a lot about it, but no actual instructions. So let's kind of demystify the sales funnel process for her, let her know what it is and how to go about setting it up. Tracy, you're already up, so I'm going to start with you. Tracy Repchuk, what do you think?
All right, well, actually, this is the first place I start every single client is we get the landing page in place, make sure we're capturing the name and the email address, and then in my case, I actually go to an upper-level product. I take all my clients to a coaching program, so we're going straight to a strategy session, and then I'm in for the kill at 2,500 and up. And then as they drop down into the autoresponder sequence, now I'm touch basing with 497, 97, and filling the funnel that way. But when I get them on the phone, man, we're going in for the big close.
Okay, so do you close all your big sales on the phone?
If it's not on the phone, yeah. Actually, I guess I do close the majority because my sales range from 16,500, 25,000. So that's the level that I'm closing at, and anything kind of lower, I let the funnel handle.
Okay, all right. Marlon, what about you? Tell us about how you handle sales funnels.
Well, it's a great question, and it's really so challenging when you're new to the business. As you may recall, Heather, once upon a time when you're like, oh my gosh, I'm interviewing these people, and there's so many terms and front end and back end and all of these different weird things.
That sounds a little sexual, just saying.
It really does, my God, right? And no, but so here's the thing is, it's really simple. It's a very simple concept. It's just you get a customer, and after X period of time, they're worth Y dollars to you, right? And the whole idea is that hopefully after 30, 60, 90 days, they're worth more than whatever it cost you in time or money to get them, right? And so the difference between that is what you're going for. So let's say, as an example, it costs you $5 in advertising to get a customer, and after 60 days, they are worth $60, right? So you're spending $5 and you're getting back 60. How many times do you want to do that, right? Well, you're going to do that an awful lot, and that's why we're all internet marketers. The difference between the 5 and the 60, right, that's the funnel. Now, that could be one product. If you're Tracy and really great at selling over the phone, then it's a lot of dollars. Or if you're me and you talk to people over the phone and all of a sudden they're asking for refunds on everything they ever bought from you, and every time you talk to someone on the phone you lose money, then you're an autoresponder email marketer like I am, right? And you just look and you say, okay, 30, 60, 90 days. Are my customers worth as much as Warren's are? Because by God, I will not let Warren's customers ever be worth more than mine. So that's my answer.
Okay, Zane, I hope that you're on top of the volume levels here, because in case you haven't noticed, Marlon loves to yell.
Yeah,
oh, did I peg out? I'm really sorry. I'll keep it down, Heather.
No, it's cool. That's what makes you you. I love it. So.
In the little control panel, his volume is way.
Way down.
I can move it. I'll move it. Hold on. I'll move my volume down.
That's fine. I'm just bugging you.
Yeah, just joshing you.
All right. So, Todd, I know you've got an interesting approach to funnels. So why don't you tell us what your answer is to that question?
Well, I just want to kind of break it down from the standpoint of somebody that's in the lower cost product area, because most of the time what I do is a completely different approach than some of the others here. And I'm really impressed that Tracy can sell a high-priced product. You put me on stage, I usually sell nothing, so I have to go with Marlon's autoresponder route. And the way that I handle it is I make a very convincing argument for somebody to buy a lower price item, ranging anywhere from as low as $7 or $10 to as high as $27 or $29, occasionally $37. Okay, so let's use an example. Recently, I sold a product called Video Marketing Publisher. Video Marketing Publisher was a stripped-down version of another product called Easy Web Video. And Easy Web Video had more features. So the way we handled it is we made thousands upon thousands of sales, literally around 6,000 sales, of Video Marketing Publisher. And then the next product from there, as they went through the funnel, in other words, what they see as the next product would be, let's say, the developer rights or the rights to sell this, the videos that you're making to other customers. So now there's another higher price product that they run into. And then as they then purchase that, they run into the full suite of features that Easy Web Video has that Video Marketing Publisher didn't have. Each one of those complementing the product before it. So a really good funnel would be one where you start with a product, and then the product that's on the inside, the back end, so to speak, is going to complement the original product, make it better, or be extremely targeted to that original product so that the customer, of course, is basically going to be interested. So that's my approach to funnels, and it does often lead to a product that may be $100 or $200 or sometimes more, but usually most of the money comes from the volume, the thousands of sales on the low price product. So I'm completely the opposite, the 180-degree opposite of Tracy in that regards. It's kind of, and it's a little more normal to go that route. Start with developing a mail list, sell a low-cost product, and then build up from there. And Marlon, I know, does that too.
All right. So let's hear from Bob Gatchel. Tell us about sales funnels.
You know, I'm going to take a different approach just about this because one of
course you are.
You know, well, Marlon knows that very well because I am a Tyrannosaurus Rex in this industry. Inside joke, folks. The situation is I'm gonna approach this person who asked the question from a different perspective. I'm going to take sort of the hippy dippy yeah dude kind of approach to this. I myself, I'm a former engineer, so I'm very focused on the technicals, and that was my downfall. And what I was taught by one of my mentors is, what is a sales funnel? A sales funnel is a story. A sales funnel is what leads people from that first time that you contact them to the end of where you want them to be. Now, there's a never-ending thing. We can discuss about other sales, bounce-back sales, and crawl sales, up sales, down sales, and things that make you go, But what I like to look at, if somebody is new to the industry, first let's assume they even have just made that first ebook or created a product or have something. If they may only have that one thing at this point, that may be their end point. And if that's their end point, is to get somebody over here to engage in that product. We were all there, guys. We all had that one, little ebook we did or something just to get started. But what I try and tell people to do is think of who that is for. Know your market. Know the avatar. What problems are you trying to solve for that market? What is this product going to help them with? And now tell the story in reverse. Get them to say, the 10 tips to stop your dog from peeing on the floor or something. And what you do is it's kind of a seduction in a way where you introduce them to where you're going to take them with some free information or whatever, and then you will have those autoresponder sequences to continue to touch them or give them give them more information, marketing touches again, and slowly lead them through the story. It doesn't have to be, and that's really where the high-tech, high-touch comes in, because I remember the first time I used the AWebers and the thises and the that's and tying it all together, I just got totally bat crazy from it. But I think if somebody's got a funnel, is what story do you want to tell to get them to where you want them to be? Because once you do have them, and once you do have that raving fan who either downloaded the free item and stepped up and maybe bought something, and then you keep in contact with them over time, you build what Marlon talks about. You build that lifetime customer value where, let's say, Todd and Marlon, these guys crank out products. I don't know how. I can't even write a page of copy sometimes. But what happens is if I'm not really good at it and I know this market is interested in this particular area from my small funnel, well, what I'll do is I'll send them to one of Todd's products. And I think I bought those products, Todd, you and I will send them to those other offers as long as it's germane so that they can I can monetize that list. So to the caller who asked the question, think of your sales funnel as a story, and those logical breakpoints in that story will be products or services or pieces of product like Tracy's got, like a different product you could sell, a different thing you can offer. And I'm telling you, if you just do that first thing, all those other pieces will fall in place. So that's like real, hey, dude, kind of marketing on my end. But I think it's really just get that story out and you'll really get it all together.
That's great. I'm stepping in here because it looks like Heather did have to step away.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, well, she said she was going to have to for 10 or 15 minutes, and fortunately for everyone, the sun is going down here, and I didn't realize I need more lights on me, so you don't have to look at me. That's great. I'll step. Just pretend she's got a rough voice right now, and it's Heather. But Bob, those were good points. Everybody, that's great points. Colin, what I want to hear from you about your funnels. How you work funnels?
When I was doing client work, most of the people that I work with had funnels similar to what the rest of you guys talked about, where it's a low-cost product that sort of pulls people in, and then you sort of shake those people out and see which people have more money to spend on a more advanced product, and you continue that process and sort of shake them out. I know, let's see here. Tracy had mentioned that her funnel is almost the opposite of that, where she deals directly with the people who have the most to spend and then sort of shakes it out in the opposite direction to get, to go from high to low. For my own stuff, what I do, my own funnel is free, but there's a barrier to entry in that you have to ask to join. I run a Facebook group. It's free to join, but you have to ask. It's a private group. Once you're in the group, I try to curate a lot of conversations about my topic, and then if people are interested in those, they kind of hang around in the group, and then I sell products from inside that. So the widest end of my funnel is free, but once you take one step over that barrier to get inside the group, then you're exposed to the fact that I sell trainings for ranging from $100 to $250 as an introduction. I also have a newsletter for sale inside of there, and a paid monthly mastermind. So it's the kind of thing where you're just sitting in a little incubator in an environment constantly talking about the topic. And oh, by the way, if you want to pay extra and dig a little deeper into that with people who are a little bit more advanced, you pay a little bit extra and you fall into it that way. So it's very similar to everyone else's setup. I'm just, instead of using like an email list or paid advertising, I sort of just park myself on Facebook and do it that way.
Do you feel, Colin, that is there any danger in that? I mean, I'm saying Facebook's a safe bet. I can remember a day, though, when people used to say, man, you don't want to put out your main asset on someone else's service that could change or go away, Well,
when I started, I obviously didn't mean for it to be like a 10,000 person strong community from day one. That just sort of happened along the way. But when I put it on there, the reason I put it on there is because I was spending a lot of time goofing off on Facebook already. And the way my behavior was dictated by Facebook was like, as long as there was a little red number next to that notification box, I could goof off just a little bit longer instead of getting around to what I needed to do.
Mhm.
So if I could be the person making that red number pop up on people's desktop, I don't have to worry about if they're going to open their email or, you know, visit my website and remember my URL. So I just wanted to kind of plug into that environment. So Facebook, because it has 1 billion users or whatever the number is now, made that possible in a way that I wouldn't have been able to do if I'd started my own website. However, now that I do have an audience of that size, the reason I'm even here is via Zane, and the reason I work with Zane is because I do a YouTube show, and then I'm also developing Cult of Copy as a blog to be yet another destination. So I'm sort of creating other places for that brand and community to exist other than just Facebook, because you're right, there can be a danger in that. But I feel like it also there's massive benefit to be had from starting something there. And then if you end up with something, then you sort of decentralize it, put it into a few other places, put it somewhere you have more control over it.
Good move. Warren, we have not heard from you yet on funnels.
Well, I think the question was about how I would set up a funnel. And, the last time I was really interested in this for myself, I've shared my screen here. Marlon helped me with this. And the photo on this screen, can everybody see it?
Yep.
Okay,
sure can.
That will explain
apparently,
to you
it's pretty clear, Warren, I was just going to say, it's obviously clear that this took place at a JV Alert Live.
Apparently so, yeah. What I remember about this particular thing was when we got done, it was very clear to me what this piece of paper says. And I like studying funnels. I like, getting it out. I help clients with that all the time. But when I got into this line of work or whatever I do after I got tired of selling, hard products, I'm trying to come back here. Can you see me now?
I'm still seeing your screen.
Yeah, well,
there you are. There he is.
Yeah, I probably look better when it's and the Fantastic 40 came up on my screen. Anyway, my first sale was that somebody wanted some help with marketing and releasing the product on the internet, and someone referred them. I got on the phone with them, took $9,000 and hung up the phone within 9 minutes, and I did it while I was in my car returning the trailer that I used to move to Las Vegas. And so, that's not much of a funnel, and that's pretty well how I've done things for the last 9 years. So let's not talk about me. There are a lot of things. I've entertained all the kind of things. Got a couple of best-selling books, and frankly, I tell everybody at the start of it, if you're looking at the book as a way to make money, you've got problems. You'll wind up broke and thinking somebody else screwed you out of making money. So what I try to look at is what's the real objective. There is a reason to have a book. It's the very best thing you can do for your career. But creating a book and hoping you're going to get rich off of the money, it can happen. There's people making, some little bit of money off of ebooks and writing books and using a publisher and all the different ways you can do that. But the people that make the real money are looking for something else. So I try to start with the end objective. And if the end objective is to get clients that you can charge a lot more to, then you've got to take a look at what are you giving them, what's the outcome, what's important that you can do to change results in their lives or their business. We did this once in a hot seat environment with a woman that was helping people cure their diabetes. And we got talking about what would be the value of being free of diabetes for the rest of your life. And I had some numbers, and I thought I was pretty big. And then my partner in that program said, I got an uncle that just lost his feet because of diabetes, and I have to carry him up the stairs whenever we have a family event. And it would be worth thousands and thousands of dollars to me if I could have known of a way to make that go away. And so it really is a matter of positioning what you're doing, figuring out what the real value is, and it's all focused on the results you're delivering and the change that's happening. And when you're back to selling an ebook or getting somebody on a mailing list, trying to get people to come to a Google Hangout, whatever it is you're doing, that could be your end result on that project. But bear in mind that it's probably the least likely way to make a whole lot of money. So start off with, what are you going to be able to do before? And the other comment I have on funnels in general is that we talk about a funnel going, big and then getting smaller. I've talked about flipping it. Usually when I've taught it, I start off with everybody's on the bottom and they climb the mountain like you do when that's the guru model, because as you ascend, you get closer to the guru, more time with the guru, that sort of thing. And so I like that. But really today I use what Infusionsoft uses is the funnel that we're talking about here is just a way to initiate the sale. And then after you get a sale, you got to think about the big money that's on the other side of the sale. And that's customer support, how you sell them again, how you get them to tell their friends, all the social media. And so you got to look at that first transaction as the start of a relationship instead of the end.
Good. My funnel has varied, and I always keep it simple, and because I confuse easy, and as I get older, I confuse easier. So I like to keep it simple, and I figure if I'm not confused, then by God, my audience isn't. So you won't find Alan usually using any of the upsells, downsells, and all that stuff, although I realize the value of that, as you mentioned, Todd, especially when you're starting with that low-cost product and you're moving up and then down. And Tracy, when you got a downsell, when you're going for 16 grand and they're just not buying, it makes perfect sense to step it down to let's see if they're interested in 5. And that makes perfect sense. But Warren mentioned a book, and I was going to tell you, from my viewpoint, a book is an ultimate funnel. It's the start of the funnel. Doesn't have to be free. The beauty of it is you can start. What are you doing, Warren? You're back to sharing your screen with us.
Yeah, I thought, we would want to take one last look, and then it's going to go back into my Facebook, and no one will ever see it again.
Except there.
Other than 2,000 Facebook friends, Marlon.
You brought up the point of the book, and it's so true what you said, that you don't expect to write a book and make a fortune off of the royalties, but if you can monetize that book by driving business, my comment is that publishing a book for someone who owns their own business, particularly a service business of any kind, you've got a good 83% better chance of making money with that book than anybody writing it and trying to make money selling copies. So I like to take the approach of teach with overkill. If you're a service provider, you want to teach to the point of excruciating detail, which in a book form works beautifully, so that actually anybody reading that book or watching that video or following through that course knows precisely how to do it and can do it on their own, but they're also fully convinced you must know how to do it and do it well because you just taught them, and boy does it seem like a lot of work. And at that point, you're perfectly positioned to then feed them into the next phase of the funnel, which is, oh, by the way, I could do this for you. And I used to use this example on stage with a garbage disposal company that would publish a book on how you could do this yourself. It's easy. Just make sure you got a pickup truck and get some more cans because you're going to need a lot more of them. You're not going to have this picked up weekly, and you better get a fence because the neighbors are going to complain about all those cans. And here's where you can get your fence plans, and and then cover. By the time you're done, they're going, this is so much work and expense. Oh, by the way, we can just pick it up for $20 a month. It would work. But I like a book as a funnel. I like free as a funnel. I'm still a big fan of the get a big funnel by giving away the right people. But I love what Colin said too about jumping over that line, which to me is opting into a list or stepping over that line and asking to join that Facebook group is, to me these days, the same as asking someone to ask to give you $5 for your first book. So either way, that works great. I hope that helped. Heather, I see you're back. Thank God.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently this is the longest question in the world, according to Marlon.
It's the longest question in the world, according to everybody. And I just wanted to get my 3.5 cents in and dive out. And boy, am I glad you got back. But everybody did answer. So
Well,
we're on to the next.
Awesome. Okay, so the next question here comes from Bill Turner from Minnesota. And Bill wants to know what is true in marketing and copywriting today that will still be true 100 years from now. I don't even know if this is possible to answer, but I'd love to hear what some of you guys think. Marlon, what do you think?
Well, I'm kind of a basic guy, Heather. So, people, money is it's an exchange. You have value in exchange, your value for somebody else's value, and that goes back to caveman days. So it's basically been working for, 10, 20, however long ago it was that we had caveman, and some would argue we still have a few of them around. So, benefits. There's only one reason people buy from you. The very first lesson you learn in copywriting is with them. What's in it for me? Benefits. So that's my answer.
Okay, all right, there we go, short and sweet. Colin, what do you think? I don't hear Colin.
How about now?
Did you sit on that button again?
I
Colin?
hear you.
There we go.
Yeah. You button sitter. All right, we got you.
I did. Can you repeat the question for me there? I'm sorry, I kind of zoned out on that last one because it was so long.
Yeah. Okay. So the question is, what is true? What is true in marketing and copywriting today that will still be true 100 years from now?
Oh, basically that people buy based on their emotions and they use their logic to justify the decision that their gut told them was the right decision to make. That's been true since the very beginning of persuasion, from the first time, a caveman used sub-vocalizations to grunt and thrust his hands to say, there's food over there and we should go eat it, or there's a lion over there and we should run away. It's about connecting to whatever the emotional fulfillment that the person's going to get out of what it is that you're trying to sell to them. And then once you sell them on that, you are really just handing them additional excuses to reinforce that decision that they already made, right? So most people think that people buy products because of the features or even the benefits, but it's not. If you can get that emotional reaction to where someone's gut tells them, yeah, I want that, all you have to do is help them get out of their own way of making up an excuse to not get it. And that's much simpler than trying to use logic to try and sell them on it.
Right, that's all true, but isn't it the benefits that instill that emotional response? The way that we write the copy around the benefits?
It can depend. What I like to do is, when you're writing bullets that describe a product, you use a feature and a benefit combo. A feature being a measurable attribute of that product that you can point to and say, this is a physical feature of this product. And then you say, here's the benefit, which is the positive outcome that feature is going to get you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the way you normally sell a product. I would take that and reverse whatever it is that you came up with there to figure out what is the flaw and the detriment that person is suffering from in their life that will make that feature and benefit worth their attention. If you can anchor it to that pain point, that emotional connection, and say, well, it's not your fault you have this problem because there's this flaw in this approach that you're using, and that's what's leading you to have this detrimental outcome, right? Most people accept that because when you're trying to sell something to people, they have a certain degree of resistance if you're trying to push something on them. But if you just describe a problem to them, they don't feel like you're selling to them. They feel like you're just helping them out and being altruistic. So there's a lot less resistance when you're describing a problem. So if you just describe a problem and say, well, it's not your fault, there's this flaw in your approach, and that's what's causing you to suffer from this detriment. Well, maybe you might be interested in this product. Oh, coincidentally, it has this feature and this benefit that match exactly to that flaw and detriment I just told you about. But because of the way the human brain works, you won't say, he just told me that. You'll say, well, that's obvious. That's the way that problem is. Of course this product automatically is going to solve that problem. I was just thinking I had that exact problem. This product is going to work perfectly for that. Obviously, I'm simplifying it. You would have like 5 to 7 bullets of each type. But to me, the benefit misses the mark unless you really agitate that emotion first to where they feel like it's a relief. So that's what I try to do.
That sounds manipulative.
I fully admit that it is completely manipulative,
Okay.
but I'm okay with that because children, even at a very young age, try to negotiate with their parents for a later bedtime. Manipulation is a human instinct. It's the very core of communication. If you have a product that's really going to help someone and it's a problem that they maybe try to avoid thinking about because it's uncomfortable and they've sort of just decided to live with it instead of solving it, you have a duty to push your solution on that person as hard as possible, because no one's ever going to say, boy, your solution completely solved my problem 100%. I just wish you wouldn't have tried so hard to make me buy it.
Yeah.
No one's ever going to say that. So if you actually have your customer's best interest in mind, I say push as hard as you can. Why let only the charlatans use the thermonuclear weapons of persuasion? If you have something good to sell, twist their arm as much as you can, because they're going to end up better and they're going to thank you for it. Why let only the bad guys use the manipulation stuff?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. All right, we're going to take one more answer on this one. Alan Bechtold, what do you think?
Manipulating minds for the good of man. I like that. Now, I was going to say that one other thing I think won't change in over 100 years is storytelling. And it's one of the most powerful ways to sell. And it's one of the best ways to frame any one of your benefits. And some of the most powerful copywriting I've ever seen was not a review, but a story that made me mentally picture already having that solution. And now I have to. And I believe that started with the caveman days too, so it probably will continue. Enough said.
Yeah, okay. Well, speaking of stories, because several of you mentioned stories, Dan B. Cothran wants to know, we hear that article marketing still works. Does it? So who wants to talk about article marketing?
I read an article about that one.
Does anyone here do article marketing currently?
I think, I'll just say real quickly, I think press releases are today a lot more powerful than article marketing just because of what Google did with some of the article marketing sites people used to count on to get the ranking. That's, just an idea I felt.
Okay. Bob, did you have something?
I'll answer briefly, Heather. Is just, article marketing is just a bigger part of content marketing. Content marketing works as good or better than ever. And also, article marketing, we were doing it before the World Wide Web, and as far as I can barely remember that, but yes, we were. And yeah, you can still submit articles to magazines, and guess what? It works. I'm sorry, I got too loud again, Heather. I'm so sorry. People still read them. It still freaking works. Content marketing works. Articles on your blog works. Guest posts, trading articles to other people still works. There's 45 million derivations of article marketing that work. The only one that maybe doesn't work as well is sticking them over on eZine articles. And you know what? I still get a lot of visitors from eZine articles. So there you go.
Okay, there you go. Awesome. All right, Bob, what do you think?
What Marlon said. No, but no, seriously. But no, Marlon is exactly where I was going. We have a tendency to think that article marketing, again, we got to get out of the technical. We got to get away from worrying about, is it keyword density so that we get SEO magic. I'm not diddling on SEO. Content is king. And you write for real people with real problems who want real solutions. And like Marlon said, yes, I think article/content marketing is probably, quite frankly, more important now than ever because people are writing for the machines instead of writing for the people. And I think I would still make article marketing a component of my complete marketing breakfast. So yes, absolutely, but do it for the reason of not just worrying about SEO. There's other ways to do that, getting traffic. Worry about building your brand and building your presence. That is actually, because that is really more important. So article content marketing absolutely still works.
Okay,
Yeah.
But however, content marketing is a much bigger umbrella than just article marketing. Like content marketing includes video marketing. Okay.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Right?
Don't get started. Don't get started. But no, it is the same thing. I just opened it up, so it's all good.
Okay, so article marketing is one small subset of content marketing. I just want to establish that for the people that are watching. Like, video marketing can be called content marketing too, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes? Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Okay.
Everything you put out there technically is content marketing. And again, with the article thing, I actually put my stuff onto Google Plus first, get the SEO ranking, then put it on my blog. I haven't been doing articles in quite a while, and I'm getting, of course, you know, Google Plus is the queen, so you might as well serve the king and the queen.
Yeah, very true. Okay.
I agree.
Well,
that's right.
Well, then,
yeah,
that's all
right.
we need.
The YouTube master. That's right. We've got the king.
Right.
The queen.
Yeah, and we're creating content right now. I mean, we're content marketing right now, in essence. So, all right. Now here's another question. This comes from Bordy Brilling from Cairo, who wants to know: do you feel using continuously changing buzzwords being in quotes, promotes an individual as being, again in quotes, on top of things? So, buzzwords. Todd, what do you think? Oh, Warren, what do you think?
I'm ready to talk, yeah.
Okay.
This whole semantical thing of calling something fill-in-the-blank marketing and then calling yourself an article marketer, a video marketer. Somebody yesterday asked me about viral ad videos and whether or not I'd watch them more if a friend suggested one. And I said, I don't even know what you're talking about. And it really goes back to the big one, internet marketing. We're talking about business. We're doing business with people. There are a lot of transactions involved. There's a lot of things you can learn about, and using terms like article marketing, video marketing, book marketing, whatever is fine. The funny thing is when I talk about book marketing, I'm talking about marketing books. Book marketing today, I hear a lot of people talking about using the book to market your business. And it's like to me, it's like backwards in the grammar or something. So that's my rant on it. But let's get back to basics here. People want two things. They want to connect with other people, and they want to share stories. And if you allow them to do that and fulfill whatever their illusion of a better life is, they're going to be happy. And they're looking to you to do that. So if you're looking for a formula whereby you can sell stuff by filling in the right kind of, thing, that's what's wrong with SEO is there's a lot of engineers who think if we do this exactly right, we'll trick Google, and Google will send us lots of free traffic. And Google tries really hard to get rid of that. So they come up with, well, if we put it in the form of a press release with the right keywords, they'll take that. Or if we put it in a video, they own YouTube and it'll shoot right to the top. And at one time or another, the algorithm will work in such a way that could make you millions of dollars. I don't want to discount that those techniques are bad, and I study all of them. But what really matters is, are you connecting with the person on a real emotional level, and do they want to, in the news this week, there's something about someone dying, and, everybody has to talk about it. I've heard Twitter volume went up 400% when that news was released. People want to talk about things. They want to be connected. They want to feel like they're part of something. And this is more basic than how to sell them something. If you want to sell something to somebody, make sure they know that you care about them more than your competitor does, and that you really care about them. You can't fake caring about them. You have to really care about them. And if the better you can care about somebody and fulfill their needs and their wants and their desires, then the better off you're going to do. And after that, you just tell them a story. And people want to hear a story. That's how our brains work, and that's never going to change. So, whatever buzzwords you want to put on, that's fine.
Okay. So,
that's
Todd,
rambling marketing.
Well, yeah, that's what we love about Warren. So, Todd, what are your thoughts on buzzwords and whether using buzzwords makes you appear like you're really cool and on top of things?
Well, give me an example, Heather, of what you would think would be a buzzword.
I guess it would depend on the niche and it would depend on the product, but I don't know. Let's say if we were talking about video cameras and the buzzword might be 4K. Or, because that's the new resolution, that's what people are going to after HD. Or maybe we're talking about any other kind of technology and the buzzwords would be the new stuff that's coming out that didn't used to come out. Or it might be terminology that people are using, such as content marketing is a phrase that we hear now that we did not hear 5 years ago. So.
Yeah.
I was going to say, everything's a buzzword when you're new, isn't it?
Because I'm thinking.
Okay, that's a little too much, but.
I tried to create a buzzword once. Heather interviewed me about one of my first endeavors. Was, I don't go back as far as some of the revered people here, but from a video standpoint, I was really doing a lot of video and a lot of video products when it was really not used yet. So I'm talking 2006. And basically what I did at the time with Derek Van Dyke is we came up with a product which made the videos that go on video squeeze pages. So we tried to create a buzzword for that. We called them squeeze videos. Now that was effective, but it wasn't as effective as it would have been had I had a larger audience in the first place. So you have to consider that if you try a cool and if you try to create a buzzword, it has to get out to a large enough audience that it has some legs. So the things that I think, which is kind of buzzword, kind of not, it's more branding, is when you attach something to your name as a buzz phrase. For instance, there's Ray the Video Guy, and there's my one of my partners, Michael Creasa, he calls himself that interview guy. And I think that has immediate legs and really can take off right away when it
What about the unwrapper?
And the unwrapper. Which I always thought was very cool because it has so many meanings on so many levels.
It does, yes. And it's so much fun to say, I'm going to unwrap Todd Gross tonight. I'm going to unwrap Tracy Repchuk. I think it's just more fun to say that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So from a branding standpoint, I think it absolutely is going to raise someone's stature in the marketplace. So, whether or not when you use the term to describe something that has just come out or something that you want to, really brand an item, it may not work as well as a thing that you're doing, like unwrapping or describing yourself. And I think that can have a really powerful effect on your stature, yes.
Okay, so we're halfway through right now. We're at the top of the first hour, and I know that Zane likes to give a little message from the sponsors, so we're going to take a brief commercial and hear from our producer, Zane Miller. Take it away, Zane.
Awesome. So our sponsor is an awesome sponsor called Angier, right? And they're one of the well, they're the ones that helped put this together, but actually Alan knows more about this than I do. But before I pass the baton over to Alan, I want to encourage everybody by using the power of screen share. Right, just 1 second. All right. So this is the Google Plus community for the Fantastic 40 Marketing Roundtable. All the panelists that you see here will be visiting here into the community and sharing the different gifts and whatnot that they have. The same gifts that you would get if you registered at thefantastic40.com. So I just want to make sure that all the gifts that were promised are delivered. So they should be delivered via email, but if for whatever reason you're not able to get them, I'm making sure that all of the gifts are available to access in the Google Plus community. So this is where all the cool kids are hanging out, so come and hang out with all the cool kids. So that was it. Alan, why don't you tell everybody a little bit more about InVids?
InVids is a really unique system that enables makes it really simple to utilize video as interactive marketing with live calls to action, multiple different ways. So amazing the way you can place them right over the video. You can grab a video for affiliate marketing, plug in your call to action. And we're not just talking about join my email list. These are text me, call my phone, set an appointment. They've developed a system that is so gigantic, and they've just opened their doors. They wanted to time it with the Fantastic 40 event, since they're sponsoring it and making a lot of our marketing happen. They are just opening the doors. It's InVidya. It's invids.com. It's invidz.com. Do check them out. The other sponsor is my company, LifePath Books. If you're interested in finding out what it takes to get a book done and done right, professionally edited and published for you, with coaching all along the way, just visit lifepathbooks.com, and we'll take care of you there. But let's get back to the questions. We got a lot more of them.
Yeah, we sure do. All right, well, thanks for the word from our sponsors, and we're back with the Fantastic 40 Roundtable Hangout. We're talking about buzzwords before the break, and whether buzzwords make you seem cool, make you seem on top of things. Tracy Repchuk, what do you think?
There's something that I start all my clients off with, and we've all alluded to it in the conversation, and that is your brand. And your brand had better be unique. And in many cases that more than likely will not include a buzzword, because it's really what's in it for the client. What are you doing for them? And usually that's not buzzword oriented. I think Todd talked about it and Warren talked about it. We need to be talking to the client and telling them the transformation they will receive. And if obviously we've all been on the internet stages and we've all seen the buzzwords thrown out like crazy, but I think that in some cases, if they're not used authentically, you can tell. You can tell when someone's just saying, "Well, I've SEO'd my sites, and when you SEO your sites, you too will be able to take the benefits of being SEO'd." And so you can tell when someone's using it because they want to appear cool, and then you can tell when you're talking to somebody else who just says, "You know what you want? You want a lot of traffic. You want Google. You want this. You want that." Now, how do we do it? We use SEO. That's all they need to know. And I think if somebody's using a buzzword a little too much, chances are that's all they know. And it's your job to ask deeper questions. Well, great. How do I get SEO, or how do I take advantage of that? And if they stumble, then they've been found out.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what you just said ties into another question that we have from the audience. Helen Taylor from Douglas wants to know, what's your advice for making the brand bigger than the individual? So I know that Bob probably has a ton to say about that. Let's go to Bob.
What are you alluding to there, dear? No, I was checking in. Repeat the question just real quickly again.
What's your advice for making the brand bigger than the individual?
You mean from the individual delivering the message, or well?
I'm assuming that that's what they mean, that, making a brand that's bigger than just you, instead of just, it's kind of, the brand could be the person. Warren Whitlock is a brand, right?
Yeah. So, this could go two ways.
I'm not real, I'm a brand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's not even Warren Whitlock, it's at Warren Whitlock. So that's the brand.
That's his buzzword.
Yeah.
No, that's well, I look at it this way, because I've had an opportunity to work with a lot of authors, and I will make this short, but it'll be germane. This little sidetrack here is kind of what Warren said about it, and even Alan said, if you depend on a book, you're in deep, deep doo-doo. The book is merely an entree for the next level. And I've had a chance to work, and I've consulted with, I'll drop a name, Robert G. Allen and Mark Victor Hansen, and worked with Richard Paul Evans in a capacity of their books, and it's very interesting by hanging around them. And it's like, what makes the brand bigger than you? And all three of these guys, if you think about it, they all done that. What they've been able to do is take their skills, and it really goes back to the individuals. What makes the brand bigger than themselves is being able to really provide those solutions and really make it beyond them. It's kind of like you almost take yourself out of the picture. It's kind of a strange reverse psychology where, you know, I'll use Robert as an example. He was known as the nothing down guy. And then he basically, it was, I'm the nothing down guy. And it's kind of like an, I'm the guy who brought you the nothing down. And then it kind of expanded in that funnel again. So I think what makes the brand bigger than the person, let's say from the person presenting it, is in the total delivery of what you promise. You know what I mean? I think if germane to what Tracy was saying, if somebody's just throwing you a load of hokum, you're not going to build a big brand. You've got to deliver what you promised. You've got to deliver it more, and you've got to deliver it better, and you've got to really make it relatable. And if you make people feel good with your solution and you get that good feedback and people do like it, they're going to, you know, the message gets beyond you, in other words. So it's kind of a strange hippy-dippy comment, but just deliver the right stuff and your brand will grow outside of you anyway, unless you are the brand.
I've noticed that you like the hippy-dippy comments. Okay, so I'll keep that in mind.
I've got my candle going here, the incense.
Yeah, sandalwood, right? Yeah.
A little love affair with himself.
Okay. All right, so I know that @Warren Whitlock has something to say about branding and individuality. So, Warren, what do you think?
Well, I define brand as the relationship with the customer. And there's a lot of people, especially in social media, that talk about having a personal brand and a corporate brand, and just go on and on and on about this stuff. But a brand is a relationship. It's how people, remember, connections and sharing stories. That's everything. And if a brand, if a meme, if an idea is an easier way to share the story, go with that. If it's not, go with telling what it is. But and that's one of the problems with the back to the buzzword thing. If you're trying to say, what's the latest thing, I've got to jump on that, then you're in trouble. You know, think about how would you like to have the customers you're prospecting for right now as customers 30 years from now? And what would you do differently, and how would you best service them over that long haul? And you're going to be looking at things that really take care of them, really make them feel like they feel good about it. And then the last thing is any illusion that you define a brand and push that on people is gone. That never did work, and it really doesn't work today, because the brand's going to be what people think about you, not what you decide it's got to be.
Okay. And Colin, what do you think about branding and making the brand bigger than the individual?
Well, it's funny that earlier my answer you mentioned that, well, that sounds like manipulation.
It did.
Which if you notice, my website is thecultofcopy.com, right. And I have all my creepy Reverend Dr. Sir titles that I bought off of the internet for a very small amount of money. Like, that's part of my branding, is that as a copywriter, since I'm retired, I don't have to try and make it squeaky clean and not creep people out about how really weird and sort of scary persuasion can be in the, you know, sort of less acceptable avenues that it may appear. That's just one way you can represent a brand. The reason I bring that up is when you're building a brand, it's as important to think about the people who it's for as it is to think about the people who it's not for. You want people to be able to make a very, very specific decision whether you are for them or they want to reject you. You don't want people to be lukewarm about you and try to please everyone. You want people to either love you or hate you. And that seems so extreme, and people get freaked out and they get scared about it because we're raised to try and please everyone and not want to make anyone mad. But for me, when I do my work, I want to be able to be myself, and I want to be able to be comfortable, and I don't want to have to worry about appearances, because my best work comes when I care about the substance and the content of what I'm delivering. So yeah. I try to put out an appearance that will automatically cause the people that I wouldn't work well with to exclude themselves out. I never even have to talk to them. I don't get angry emails from people that I've upset, because by the time you are in any sort of avenue to get an email from me, you have heard me say the worst kind of things that I'm already going to say. I try to present an authentic image, because the reason for that is I only want to work with people who I like. I don't want to have to be apologizing for the way I delivered what it is that I'm delivering to them.
Yeah,
So,
and the truth is we can't please all the people all the time. There's always yin and yang. There's always going to be some people that don't like you. And Howard Stern made a huge career out of polarizing people like that.
yes, exactly. And the idea is everyone chooses the things that they buy based on their internal identity about how they feel they are in the world, how they wish they could be, right? So if your brand represents a meaningful choice where accepting what it is that you're offering will make them move closer to being that person they imagine themselves to be, then your brand will do really well with that target customer. If it doesn't do that, then you're going to find that your target customer is not going to be very attracted to your brand. So anytime you're constructing a brand about anything, it needs to be about who is it that you want to be the person who buys this brand, who finds that brand meaningful. Figure out who they want to be. What do they want to be seen as? What are they trying to identify themselves as? And make it clear that choosing you furthers those values. You're in line with those values, and that you reject all the other values that oppose that. And it'll make you seem like the clear choice to the demographic that you're trying to reach.
Okay, awesome. So now we have a question from Stephen from Lake Bluff, Illinois, and he wants to know what's the most unique and highest response direct mail piece you have used in your own campaign. Now, I think we can throw email in there as well, but I'm curious to see what Marlon has to say on that.
Well, right now I'm mailing 3D postcards to my affiliates, and I'm getting a real high response. There's probably been one or two of you here who've either gotten one or will get one, and they're personally addressed and personally written, and that's a high response. I went down. You go down to like an art supply store. This is for very personal stuff for a small, but you go down to an art supply store and they have incredible, amazing things, Heather, that you can send to people. Like I bought these big, giant cardboard star things. And, you send them thing, you're a star. I'll send you one, Heather. Send me your address on Facebook. I'll send you one. Okay. But you risk stalking, so actually you probably should never do that. But anyway, that's...
don't worry, I'll send you my post box, so that's okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. No, but I could talk a lot about direct mail, but that's my best idea. Send something. I like sending things that are unique. Not doing mass mail, it's different. But just for what I personally do, that's my best.
Okay. Anyone else have a direct mail story that you want to share, a case study, anything?
Yeah, if you want to mail direct to somebody, it's in person. Mass is dead or dying. It's not that you don't still get results from that, but one person. I was thinking when he was talking about that 3D thing, I thought of the box I sent somebody in college that totally changed their life and mine. It was a contraption I made somewhat like what Marlon's describing, that I sent a girl, and I live with her to this very day. It works. It's a personal appeal, and that makes all the difference. But I've had several things like that where it's 100%. If you think about it, if you're personalizing and sending something to somebody, it's 100% or 0%. That's all there is. And so today, with the social media and technology we have, not personalizing just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And I'll say that again and again and again to 1 million people.
Okay.
I was going to throw in too. A lot of people today do underrate direct mail, and it still works. It's just you need to be a little more selective with it. One of the most successful direct mail pieces I ever saw, and you could use this targeted as you wanted, was driving traffic to a website with postcards. And the postcard, all it said on the postcard was, "You are not authorized to visit this site," and a URL.
Nice.
That's cool. Okay, Bob, do you have anything to say?
That's good. You are not authorized to visit this site. That is so awesome.
Yeah.
I am so stealing that. I am so stealing that. I can't top that.
No. Come on, Bob. I know you have an example. Go for it.
No, I'll keep it short too. We can go on.
Okay.
I did
and
this.
keep it hippy dippy.
Dude, whoa! I got my hip right here. No, listen.
Okay.
This was This was for a real estate client. It was related to, it's germane to like even what everybody's talking about, the personalization and merging the two worlds of direct mail as well as online and offline world. And it was, we were able to acquire lists of people whose houses were either going to foreclosure late or, you know, just basically distressed property. And we were able to load that into PostNet. It's called something now where you can actually upload a database of mailing addresses, and it's the U.S. Postal Service. We uploaded the database CSV file, and we designed a postcard. We were able to, Warren, personalize it. We would say, and the postcard was two-sided, and they designed it online, and it said, sell your house in 7 days, and a few other pieces. It was a big black bar with white letters. It was just a black and white postcard. And we coupled bullet points and directed them to our website, sellyourhouseinsevendays.com, which told the whole story and everything. What was very good is we were able to put the address. We were able to put even the owner's name on it. Joe, sellyourhouseinsevendays.com. And it was easy. It just merged files like anything else. And with this client, it was a bunch of real estate investors. It was kind of like a big joint venture, kind of a pseudo-franchise thing. That 1 year, that postcard and that website combination generated approximately $59 million in real estate transactions from that one postcard. Now, I wish I got 6% of that. Oh my default. But the thing is that was really a cool concept. I'm glad that the term direct mail was there, because I'll tell you, it was tough to get email read. We had email addresses for these people, and we did something we weren't supposed to back in the day when you could send mails and call it spam. But it didn't get any response back then. But the postcard led them to the internet, which led them back to us. It was a big circle. So I think that is a really cool technique, and I'll tell you, nobody really does it. In the network marketing industry, which I'm involved in as well, in consulting, I'm telling people to do that as well, because people are getting inundated. And if they can use direct mail to drive them to a site or to a Facebook group, particularly if they're not authorized, I like that. I think there's some real interesting concepts you could do there. It would be awesome.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, some good ideas there. So we do have some more questions from the audience, but I'm going to go ahead and ask a different question, because we're talking about copywriting. I want to get a little bit into the strategies rather than, you know, the bigger picture theories that we've been talking about for the most part. So let's drill it down. Let's assume that the headline is the most important part of the sales letter, whether we're talking about an online sales letter or whether we're talking about direct mail. It doesn't matter. Let's hear some strategies for what works with headlines, because I know a few years ago everyone was using basically copy and paste. It was who else wants to ... or you're about to discover what most people don't, blah, blah, ... Let's start fresh.
Wait, hold on. Can you say that slower? I need to write those down. Oh, my God. Those are good.
All right, 2014, what are the keys to a good headline? Colin?
I use a basic headline formula that I try to keep it simple. It's pretty universal. I use it for articles or blog posts or, you know, sales letters, anything like that. It's a three-part formula. The first part of the formula is you try and call out the problem, the key problem that your audience is facing, that whatever it is that you're offering them is going to solve. You call that out in the pre-head. So if it was a sales letter, that would be in like italics up above the big red headline. The big red headline would promise not only a solution to that problem, but a complete reversal of all negative effects suffered from that problem. And then a post headline that would come after that, before you get to the body of the letter, would offer an additional benefit above and beyond solving that one little problem. So if you combine those three things, no matter what it is that you're talking about, it makes a natural conversation flow, because when you're reading a sales letter, it should sound like someone speaking to you as you read it out loud. So you go from the problem, for example, hey, do you have a problem writing headlines? Maybe you struggle with that. If you do, I have a formula that not only will make writing headlines easier, it will help you rewrite every bad headline you've ever written. And not only that, it's so simple I could explain it to you in only 3 steps. That would be the headline formula explaining itself as a headline.
Okay, but that's a little long, isn't it? Like, do you have give us an example of?
No,
really?
It's not long.
Okay.
Not for what I do.
No,
okay, so you're going for the long headlines now that are actually like a full, almost a paragraph.
No, it's not nearly that long.
A page.
Yeah, you just hit the problem, you promise a solution, and then you give them an additional benefit.
Okay.
I use these on squeeze pages or for sales letters. Maybe you like a quick, if you're doing like cold traffic with paid advertising, maybe you want like a super short one. I don't really do that. Like by the time people hit the pages that I write, they should be at least interested in what it is that you sell in a general way. So I'm trying to home you in on not backing out to go look at a competitor. I'm not trying to pull you off of Facebook to go look at something that you didn't even know it existed.
Right.
So that's a formula I use. It works really well on a page where the decision point on that page is, am I interested enough in this to either give you my email address or give you money or something like that. It's not just a click. If we're just talking about a click, just like put some boobs on there or something. I don't know. That's not really my area, but that gets clicks.
Okay. All right.
Clicks.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. That would be a different. If we're talking about, that would be in the traffic one, where we're talking about actually driving traffic with paid Facebook ads.
Right.
So,
but for actually selling things, I find it's better to sync people to the problem that you're going to solve immediately. Because if they're going to say, no, I don't have that problem, then your product's not right for them at all. Why not let them leave immediately? So I try and put that at the very top, and then I promise them a solution and an alleviation to their pain, a reversal to the negative effects that they felt. And, hey, also here's this bonus thing that you also get.
Cool.
If they won't keep reading the page after that, they're not going to give you any money anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Tracy, what do you think about headlines?
I'm very much like Colin just said. I'm very formulaic still. Again, I bring out my target, I address my target market directly, I tell them about the pain, and then I go in for the, hey, I got the solution. It's problem, solution. It just continues to work. I do that from the stage, too. Exact thing. I got to hook them in on a stage talk. I got to hook them in on line. It's all about the hook that you're throwing out there that will be the biggest benefit to them for the problem that you solve.
Okay. Yeah, that totally makes sense. So, anyone else want to chime in on headlines before we? Okay.
I want to do something that I've been a little chicken to do, but I want to just reverse the whole conversation and start and just challenge your original assertion that the headline is the most important part of the sales page. I
said let's assume.
Okay.
I said let's assume.
But the reason that I'm doing that is because everybody does assume that, including myself generally, until I had this revelation in the last couple of months, and I got to get it off my chest. The headline isn't the most important. It's the frickin' video. It's always been the video. Where did she go? I scared her away.
I'm here.
Since we first...
Well, but not every sales letter has a video, and especially direct mail is not going to have a video.
No, it won't. But if you look online and it doesn't have a video, it should have a video. And if it does have a video, the entire sales page should be supporting the video. And
there still needs to be a headline that encourages people to play that video because people don't have time to watch videos.
Exactly. So the most important thing is the video, and the headline needs to get people to watch the video so that you could tell them the problem and solve their pain. And it's the exact same concept.
Which therefore makes the headline the most important. But okay, that's okay.
Real quick, you can make any video play automatically. Thus, maybe you don't need a headline if the video plays automatically and gets their attention.
Yeah. Maybe.
But without the right headline encouraging them to not stop that video.
Yes.
It could be stopped.
Yes, if it's just a video on a page, it's not going to be as strong as if it's a video on a page with a compelling headline.
Exactly, and I'm not saying...
I have a headline that says you're not authorized to watch this video.
Yeah.
Beautiful, that's it.
Now we know that.
Bingo, Marlon, bingo.
I think I'll stop there. It's too good.
Okay.
I want
And
to challenge the idea that the headline or the video would be the most important thing, and it's back to the relationship. If my headline says, Heather, I'm your friend, you need this, click. You'll click. You don't need anything else. And that'll be because, I know you will because I've done that. I've sent you something and you click. And it needs to be that way. It's all based on that relationship.
Not like mass marketing, like a personal email. That's different.
Yeah, and that's what it is. If it's a person, why shouldn't every email be personal? Why shouldn't?
Okay, wait a second. Wait. We're not talking about emails yet, though. Emails. I'm going to ask about emails next, but we're talking about headlines on a sales page.
A headline on a sales page should be the same thing. It should always be saying one thing. You are okay. You got to the right place. We know what you need, and we can take care of it. That's the purpose of every web page. The purpose of an email is to get a person to go to the web page. Purpose of the web page varies, but it needs to first of all fulfill, you did the right thing to get here. Now here's what you need to do next.
Okay. Alan, I think, did you want to add something to that about headlines?
I was just going to add that if you are working on headlines, one of my and I agree with everything everybody's saying about video and can replace the headline and what have you, but the headline is still important. And when you're writing a headline, whether it's most important, I'll let you guys duke it out. But I just wanted to say that when I write headlines, I write a dozen or more, sometimes up to 50. And I've found this practice. I learned it from Ted Nicholas, and it has worked for me unfailingly. And the reason is, from those 20, 25, just the brainstorm you generate, you get a progressive series of headlines. It's like throwing lots of spaghetti at the wall. There will be one or two that resonate the best. And then what's magical about that is the ones I'm throwing out as my main headline become excellent subheadlines. If they carry the story on and move the reader through the piece, so much the better. Now, maybe you want to take that and that headline and what I just mentioned as an exercise and make that part of your video. That's up to you. But again, you've still got to write the video, correct? It's still got a headline to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, all right, let's take that now, because we're talking not just about copywriting, we're talking about funnels as well. So we're going to include some email marketing here. The equivalent of a headline in an email is obviously the subject line. And it's hard, I don't know, if someone wants to say that the subject line is not the most important, that's the only reason why I open it. It's either who it's from and or the subject line, because you don't know what else is there until you actually click on that. So does anyone want to debate whether the subject line is important before we go on with this question?
I'll talk about how I truly believe the subject line is important. If I see one more subject line as, darn or guy or hey, I immediately delete them. Yeah. That's how important I think it is. They gave no thought whatsoever. And then if there's a JV campaign and 10 people are sending me that, you're all gone.
Yeah, and
Put some thought into your subject
worse?
lines.
Anyone who uses, in brackets, personal in a mass sent email, that's just not cool. If it says personal, it better be personal. It better be from you to me, not you sent it to everyone on your list. That's just, okay, that's my rant.
God, Heather, you really take that personal.
Yeah.
Good I do. Yes.
I think
as
that's,
they instruct me to.
I think that's definitely becoming more true, that people are treating their email inbox less like their real mailbox, where they're okay with getting lots of spammy marketing messages all added in there. They're very protective of it, and like you guys are talking about, subject lines that violate that trust, that expectation of trust that they might have when they agreed to let you email them, are the kind of things that are going to make people mad and want to delete those things out. And it goes back to what Alan was saying about it has to do with that relationship. I think the from line is more important, and if you develop the relationship where that from line is meaningful to them, they're going to open the email no matter what the subject is, because that's what they care about, is like, oh, Alan sent me a new email.
Well,
I can't wait to see what he has to say.
I'm on some lists where they email every day, and I'm cool with it because I like the content. However, I only open up maybe 10% of them, and the 10% that I do open up is not based on the from, because it's like, oh, there's another one from him, there's another one from him, there's another one from him. But the one I open is based on the subject line.
I would say that is a failure for sufficiently rewarding you for past ones you opened, because if the content was good enough, you would open them immediately.
Right.
If the content had been good enough on previous emails, you wouldn't care what
the Reverend Dr. Sir is right.
Yeah. Okay, so let's assume, this goes back to the branding question. So we'll take the from line out of the equation for this question because, that depends on your relationship. Warren's been talking about relationships. Once the relationship is established, we're assuming that your people know who you are. They know they like your content. So let's talk about the subject lines that are going to get people to open. What do you find works today? What strategies does anyone have that work as far as improving your open rate and getting people to actually consume your content?
I can guarantee that this will work. I guarantee. If you test your subject lines, one will do better than the other one, and that is the best one to use. And if you test...
The subject line is, I guarantee this will work? That is the subject line, I guarantee this will work?
That could be one of the subject lines. The idea is that what I guarantee is that if you test, it will work. If you don't test, you guys are making up stuff. Like, hey doesn't work anymore. If I see one more hey, that works. People test it, it works. It wins all the time. It destroys your relationship with the customer.
Right.
It works. It gets open. So
let's try not to destroy our relationships.
You know what I haven't tested?
Let's talk about
Well, to tie into what Warren just said.
Here's one, Heather.
One sec. Let's just assume that we're going to talk about some that might work because you can't test it until after you've sent it. That's the problem. So let's give some strategies of good strategies that they can start with, and yes, I agree that they need to be tested or should be tested, and you get better results when you do test them. So let's give them a starting point here. Colin, go ahead.
To tie into that, you just mentioned that you relate to a certain kind of headline because of what your inbox looks like, right? You said you're on a bunch of different lists. You're used to seeing a certain kind of headline. Tracy mentioned the same thing where if she sees 10 emails with the exact same headline set up, she starts deleting. That's the number one thing to know is what your client's inbox looks like. Mm-hmm. Because the number one way to get attention with a subject line is to break the pattern of all the other subject lines in the inbox. So any copywriter has ever said that, hey, this subject line got me a ton of opens, all that means is whoever they mailed it to, that broke the pattern of whoever's inbox that was. So if you have customers that are not signed up to a ton of lists, they're not used to seeing marketing emails, marketing headlines are going to work. But if you're in a marketing niche that they see tons of marketing headlines over and over, the same ones, that's not going to break the pattern. If all the subject lines they get are really long, do a short one. That'll break the pattern. If all of them are really short, do a really long one. That'll break the pattern. You just have to know what it looks like, and the way that you do that is by researching your niche, open a new email account, go sign up just to the lists that you can find doing Google searches about what you're interested in that market. Then you'll know what their inbox might look like, and then you'll have a better idea what you need to do to break that pattern. Because really, it's like Warren said, it's not like a magic word is not going to be universally applicable. You have to test it. But like you said, before you mail it, you can't test it before you guess. So if you need to guess, you need to know like what the target looks like. So build up what that inbox might look like, and then you'll know what's going to be able to break that pattern. Otherwise, you're just throwing random darts to see what sticks.
Okay, yeah, awesome. Those are some awesome tips. Alan, I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say Marlon will love this one. I haven't tested it yet. I'm eager to try this now. A subject line that says you are not authorized to open this email. That's
good. I like that.
Yeah, but there's a problem. There's a problem with that, and that is that, as you guys pointed out, just Frank Kern would say, put fire in the headline, and everyone will open it. But you can't do that because you do destroy the relationship. And what Colin said before is absolutely correct. that you want them to open it up based on your name. And that's something that I've struggled with for years because my kind of marketing is to promote frequently. And when I promote frequently, I have that struggle with getting people to keep opening. So, I would say that the way that I like to do it is the same way that you guys brought up before about the problem and the solution. If you could squeeze it in some way, shape, or form to present the problem and solution, one or the other, it's both going to capture the attention of the person who's reading the email. That is to relate with the problem and you imply that there's a solution, or just state the solution and the implication is that they have the problem. So I think that that's important to remember, is that the subject line is similar to the headline in that way, and that's another way to look at it.
Yeah, I would.
And Bob?
I'm just going to do a quick thing. Now, I agree with Todd said there. You've got to relate to your audience, obviously. That I see so many emails, but the big point is I am a contrary marketer. And I remember it was Dan Kennedy, and I had a chance when it says, when the audience is shouting, you whisper. When the audience is whispering, you shout. Right, Marlon? Right, come on. No, but seriously, when you said that, Colin, about the email box looking like you see certain repetitive things, break the pattern, and to quote Apple, think different. If you can do that and still relate and appeal appropriately, like Todd was saying, you know your audience, make it personal and everything, but just do it differently than everybody else does. That in and of itself will just break that pattern. Everybody's in a hypnosis type of thing, and they see it, oh, delete, delete. What the hell is that? That's the type of thing. And I do it myself. So I think all these things are really valuable, but try and just break the pattern and test, because who knows what's going to work. That's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To add one more thing that ties into both what Todd was saying and what Bob just said, this idea of breaking the pattern. Todd mentioned that he had trouble, because he likes to mail frequently, keeping people to keep opening his emails. A mistake that I've seen a lot when I review people's emails is that they follow this formula of content, promotion, right? So they create this pattern of expectation where the audience wants content, and then you hit them with a promotion. It feels like a commercial, and they don't like it. But if you look at it from the standpoint of problem, solution, then they're aching for the solution. You're offering them a relief valve. So instead of doing content, if your quote-unquote content is focused around developing their understanding of the problem, making them see it in more detail, making them understand how it attaches to all the negative things that they're suffering in their niche, when your promo email comes out, all you're doing is offering a solution, and they're like, this perfectly solves the problem I was just thinking about. And that makes it so that they want to keep opening your emails over and over, because it's always satisfying when that solution comes, versus, well, I don't want to keep opening, I'm not on your email list, but I'm using you as an example, Todd. I don't want to keep opening that guy's emails, because it's like, he gives me a free thing, but then the very next email is asking me to buy something. But if you make them relate and keep telling that story, then they'll always be looking forward to the next solution that comes.
Yeah, that's really helpful.
Yeah, and that's a huge difference between the headline for a sales page versus your subject line for an email, is that your email is an ongoing conversation. Yeah. It can reference previous emails that came. It can hint at future emails that are going to come. When you're writing a headline for a sales page, you don't know if that's the first time that person ever heard of you, and you don't know if it's the last time that person's ever going to be on a page you wrote. But if they're on your email list, the expectation is they've heard of you before because they agreed to get emails from you, and they want to hear from you again in the future. So you can work with that expectation and create a desire to get future messages from you along those same lines. And I think that's very useful for a lot of people listening that maybe think of their email list as if it's a one-off message over and over and over again, instead of a serialized conversation that is being advanced incrementally, email after email, instead of just one email after the other that aren't related to each other.
That's tremendous advice.
Okay. Warren, you had something to add?
Yeah, I bought Todd's green screen product. Fantastic product. Everybody, if you don't have it, go buy it. And he sent me a few emails that went along with it, and I bought 2 or 3 other products. And then I found out he was an internet marketing guy, and I unsubscribed from his list. because he had another big solution for me day after day after day. So I want to quote a wise copywriter, internet marketer I met many years ago by the name of Marlon Sanders.
I've heard of him.
He found out.
Uh-oh.
I think it's fitting that when he mentioned he unsubscribed from my list, that he got dumped.
Okay. You know what?
Divine retribution.
Then I will quote Marlon instead. And
when I'm
Marlon,
every day getting a video about a product that is not green screens or is not how to make better videos, I lost interest. I don't want to know about Facebook marketing from you. I've subscribed to another list for that. Now, that's called segmenting the list. If you keep sending me more and more about what I do want, then I'm going to keep listening and occasionally say, you know, by the way, in addition to videos, I really like the green screen videos I'm making because they work extremely well on Facebook. That's okay, but you're staying. It takes more work, but you're sticking with the segment that you're in. And again, I learned that from Marlon Sanders.
I have one more thing to add along those lines, and that's the last thing I have. I just happen to have a lot to say about email. But right along the lines of what Warren said, when you're sending too many emails to your audience that, like he said, it feels like you're throwing different things at the wall and nothing's going to stick. A lot of that has to do, and we talked about emails that marketers have written as swipes to give to their affiliates, and then all the affiliates use the same email. If I'm writing swipe for a client to promote their product, I'm going to put in that swipe, this is the best product ever for this. It's all you ever need. It's the last thing you'll ever have to buy. But if everything you ever send to your email list has that exact same argument, they're going to quit believing you very, very fast. So you need to do what I call either the utility belt or the toolbox, to where you rephrase every offer that you put in front of them. This is a great thing to add to your arsenal. This is a good item to put in your toolbox. You're going to want to have this in your utility belt, because that way you're immune to the argument that, like, well, every other thing you send me is the last thing ever that I have to buy. Why did I buy the last thing if this is the thing? But if you develop that perception in their mind that you're going to keep building up this stockpile of things that you can use, they won't feel resistance to that. They'll be more than willing to get offer after offer, because you're only improving their ability to master whatever niche it is that you're helping them to master, instead of constantly lying to them about this is the best thing ever and you need to quit that last thing that you bought from me a week ago. Do this.
Great. Okay. So one more final question on the topic of emails, and this comes from Mark Mitchell from Cedar Park. Now, before I read this question, though, I also want to quote Marlon Sanders, because years ago he said the money is in the list. And people talked about that, and they repeated it, and then people started to change it to the money's in what you do with the list. And, you know, there's the whole thing about it's not the size that matters, it's what you do with it, which, you know, that refers to a lot of things. However, the question here is from Mark Mitchell from Cedar Park, Texas. He wants to know, how important are email lists still? Now, we've been talking about email lists as if they're still important. We also know that a lot of people are going to social media marketing and other venues. Is email marketing still as powerful as it used to be? And I'm going to ask you, Marlon, since you're the guy that said that.
Heather, your video is down. We're missing that vibrancy that goes with your.
I see me. I don't know how that happened. Anyway.
No, really, it says Heather there. Oh my gosh, that's much better.
Yeah.
Right? Did you hear me? Did you
hear
me?
I heard the question, Heather.
Right,
so
gotcha.
my answer to it is what I'm teaching right now, and what I'm personally doing is database marketing instead of just list building, because database marketing, you know, it's old school. We were doing Warren's laughing because he's like, dude, I was doing database marketing freaking before AOL, right? I mean, you get their mailing address, you get a phone, you get their email address. My friend Jason Fladlien is doing Skype groups now, where he's communicating and getting a huge response by putting customers into Skype groups. So that's Act Maximizer, Tracy. I don't know what that is, but maybe you can talk about it. So anyway, I'm doing database market. Oh, Act Maximizer. Yeah, from old school, Tracy. Yeah, old school. No, so anyway, I'm doing database marketing instead of just email lists. Email lists. Retargeting is a list. Having your own Facebook group like Colin has, that's a list. So the whole concept of list is just morphed and greatly expanded, or by my point of view, it's gone back old school. So there you go.
Okay.
Way to go.
One more answer on this. Who has something to say about whether or not email lists are important these days in 2014?
Yeah, I got one. If nobody else does, I don't want to dominate the conversation or anything.
Go ahead.
Well, you're the cult leader of copy, so go ahead.
Right. So it was just mentioned that I have the Facebook group, and that essentially acts as my list. The difference with that is that what social media gives me that the inbox doesn't is that people can interact among themselves. Whereas when I have an email list, it's just me and them, and it's basically me to many, and if I'm good at writing it, they have the illusion that it's one-to-one. But that's the best I can hope for, whereas in social media, it's a list where they can, like the Mike Myers character with the Linda Richmond with the coffee talk, they can talk amongst themselves. I don't have to be there, and they keep the conversation going in a constant, ready, warm state. Like, they tell you need to warm up your list before you make a promotion. And Facebook isn't the only place where you can do that. Now, whether or not email is going to be relevant to your audience is going to depend on who your demographic is. Like, if you're marketing to someone like me, you have to tell me through some other means that you sent me an email, or else I'm not going to get it, because I look at it like once a week if I'm not expecting anything.
Yeah.
Because I just don't use it that way. But if your demographic does still use email heavily, then you have a chance to take control of that inbox. Like we said, you learn what your inbox looks like for your marketplace. And inbox in this context can be whatever it is, whatever dashboard or interface, or whether it's their phone, whatever it is that your customer is putting in front of their face to interact with the internet. You need to know what that is for your target demographic that buys your product, and figure out how to get in there in as many places as you can, so that they have options. They can decide, I want to get that via email, or I want to get it via chat, or I want to like your Facebook post and get it that way. However, you want options for them in the modern world, because they're going to self-select anyway. They have tons of options to decide how they're going to let you communicate with them.
Awesome. Okay, so we're 10 minutes to the end of the show. It may go over again like it did last night. However, I'm going to wrap this up now. After this, we're going to get final thoughts from everyone, and Alan will take that part. So anything that you wanted to say and didn't get a chance to say, this will be your chance to share. But I'm going to jump off now. It's been great moderating this session. I think we covered a lot of stuff, some fantastic answers, and I love connecting with all of you again. This has been really inspiring, so I want to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight.
Excellent. That was superb. I guess the show's in my court, huh?
We feel kind of
lost. We're going to look at
Well, that really deflated.
Yeah, when
to go to Alan.
Yeah, didn't it though?
Step up the
well,
energy,
after.
guys.
Yeah, well, here's what we're going to do.
To get energy back on the call.
So just like Heather said, we're getting to the last 10 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and do final words. And I usually like to stick around a few minutes later, just to maybe answer a few more questions. So we're about 10 minutes away from 2 hours. So after that, feel free to stick around if you'd like, the panelists here, or just go ahead and leave the hangout. And thank you for being here. So let's go ahead. We will start. We'll circle back and we'll end with Alan. So we'll go ahead and start with Bob. Some final thoughts for the folks watching live.
Well, and I'll keep it short. I always say that, but I lie. But no, but seriously, guys, I know it sounds like on this call there were so many connections and cross connections about copy and people and technology and lists and everything. But I want to boil it down to my philosophy, because I do have to step back. I get very, very hyper-focused on one thing. I have to step back. Remember, copywriting is all about people. It's all about your audience. It's all about the people who want to hear from you and what solutions you can offer them. Now, I personally believe just no matter how you do it, blog posts, email, postcards, carrier pigeon, whatever, as long as you do it and you use that authenticity. First of all, you got to have a good product. You know, we're going to make that assumption or whatever service you're offering, but be authentic. Care about that person. Put them in front of you. And one of the best things I can give a word of advice about copywriting is obviously there's some great things here, but study it. I mean, everybody here, I'm sure, has gotten books, things from Dan Kennedy, you know, the Ultimate Sales Letter. Look for books on copywriting. One of my favorite books, who is Marlon suggested it, was from one of our other panelists, T.J. Rohleder, and it's called. I forgot the darn name. I look really stupid, but basically, Ruthless Copywriting. And when you really look at that, it's probably one of the better books that I've actually read and bought, and thrilled I bought, because it really boiled down what was in TJ's mind. TJ's one of the best guys I've ever learned from. So become a student of copywriting. Become a student of reading swipes and everything, but make it your own. And don't be afraid to write things. As one of my mentors, I'm going to say this in closing, is my mentor always said, you cannot revise a blank piece of paper. Do something. Anything. Create a control and then test. But just write, have fun with it, and just really try and help people. And I think you could do very, very well. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I'm Bob Gatchel, and I approve this message. So.
Awesome. Well said, Bob. Well, very well said. So next in the rotation here is Colin. So Colin, lay some final thoughts on us. And unclick your mute button on your.
There we go. All right. Final thoughts. The trick with copywriting, and maybe I'm one of the only copywriters that'll say this because I'm retired and I don't write for other people. It's very, very simple. It's not an art. It's a little bit of a science. If you want to get super advanced, you can try really hard, and it's one of these rabbit holes that are bottomless if you really want to dig into it. But at the simplest level, don't be scared of taking control of what your own message is for what the product is that you want to deliver to people. In my experience, you are the best person to answer these 4 questions that are going to determine whether someone wants to buy your product. And it's only 4 questions. You only need 4 answers. You, as the product creator, are the best person to answer it. They are, why you? Meaning, why am I bothering you today? Why am I sending you this email? Why did I make this web page that's in front of your face, taking up your time when you could be looking at kitty photos? Have a good answer for that. Why me? Meaning, why am I even going to listen to you about this problem? Do you have any kind of expertise, experience, authority, something? Why, like, the person delivering this message to you is a person. So if they're going to make some promises and some guarantees, they should have an identity. They shouldn't just be words on a page. There should be a personality behind that. So why me? Why you? Why this? Why this product? Why am I talking to you about this today? Is it limited somehow? Is there a reason it has to be today? Is there, like, few seats? Does it close tomorrow? Why? Why am I talking to you about this item? And then, why now? Why do I need to take action now? Why is the clock ticking? What's going to go away? What are the consequences if I leave this page, this message, without responding to it? If you can answer all 4 of those and give a good reason why all of those things are why you're bothering them with those 4 things on this particular occasion, then you'll have a decent offer. And you're the best person to deliver that, whether you do it via video or you just write your own emails or you write a sales page. You can make it very, very complicated, much more complicated than that, but at a very simple way, that is really all you have to do to make a copywriting message, resonate with people. I will say, this is going to seem like a plug, but it's not really, because I'm more of a member of my own group than I am an admin. But my URL underneath my face, cultofcopy.com, that's an open Facebook group. You can ask to join. It's Copy Nerds. We talk about copywriting all day long. I only occasionally pop in. It's my group, but there's 10,000 members. I'm drastically outnumbered. So it's a little bit self-serving, but really, like, there's tons of free stuff there. You can ask for advice. People will give you help. It's an open community. We're friendly. We want new people to come in and participate. So we would be happy to have you if you like copy and want to talk more about it. That's it.
Awesome. Well said, Colin. Very well said. So next up in the rotation is fellow loud person, Marlon. I gotta say before Marlon, you jump in with your final thoughts. I'm always the guy that I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll talk a little bit. Like I naturally have a very loud voice that carries, and that's just me, and so I feel like I'm talking normally, and people are like, wow, you are talking really loud. Can you still? Like, I'm always a little self-conscious that, you know, I'm talking, you know, blasting out your eardrums with my intensity, and you haven't even really heard intensity. I'm like, no, this is like 20%. Like, if you want to hear 100%, like, you just, you know. So anyway, thank you, Marlon, for being here and being a fellow supporter.
Wait, so we have that in common.
Yeah. So let's hear your final thoughts, my friend.
Yeah, you know, so one time I had this little retail store on Mockingbird Lane in Dallas, Texas, and we sold motivational books and tapes, and it set out front success, sales, and motivation, and I was really depressed because we weren't really selling very much, and we weren't making our bills, which was ironic because it's a bookstore about success, sales, and motivation. So one day this guy comes in, and I'm all depressed and everything. This guy comes in, and he's driving like a Mercedes, and he's obviously very well dressed and everything, and I'm like, oh, so what do you do for a living? And he says, oh, I sell, and he's obviously doing very good. And I said, well, yeah, what's your secret? How do you do it? Because I really struggle at it. And he said, well, I know how you feel. Used to feel the same way. Tell you what I found. He said, I really used to struggle selling also. And then one day I figured out that whatever they were buying, I was selling. And ever since then, selling's been really easy for me, and I've made a great living. So if there's anything I could leave with you today, it's whatever they're buying, you're selling it, then I think that you'll share with a lot of us and have a really great life. And thank you, Alan, and thank you, Zane. Thanks for all the energy of the panelists for being here. And it was my pleasure. And my website is marlonsanders.com/blog. And have an awesome day or evening, as it may be for you.
Awesome. That's fantastic. It was great having you here. So next up in the panel here is Todd Gross, Mr. Green Screen himself. So, Todd, why don't you give us some final thoughts?
Okay. You know, I promised I'd share at least a little tip about a couple of things in terms of copywriting for video. The first one actually applies whether you're doing a video or not. That is, when you write a script, one of the things that was alluded to today, but no one really came out and said it directly, is you've got to read that script, whatever you write, out loud. I don't know one person, not one, I can't count one, of anyone that ever submitted a script for me to read on video. Not one person read it out loud. And the reason I know that is because they make grammatical errors that if they had read it out loud, it would have made a whole lot more sense. Now, when I read it out loud, I then change it around to that conversation, that conversationalism that was referred to today by many people here. And whether it's for video or it's for the written script, it's got to be conversational if you want it to be the most effective. And the easy way to do that is to just read it out loud. Read it out loud into a recorder, read it out loud to someone else, read it out loud, listen to it back. But just make sure that you're not just reading it by sight. That's number one. Number two, in terms of video itself, I want to tell you something that has really, really worked for me, and it works for me instantly. And that is when I try to tell people something rather than show them something, it's not nearly as effective. So, for instance, coming up at the end of the month, there's a product that is going to just be a kick-butt product that someone has presented to me, wants to do a webinar with him. So I said, well, in order to get people to the webinar, I need to use the product because video is involved in the product. Another thing that was brought up today is to stay focused to your mailing list. So I'm trying to stay as focused on video as possible. And again, I need to make a video and use the product with that video. Not just tell people to show up to the webinar, because that's what I'm going to do. I have to show them. So when it comes to any video of any kind, the point is to show people as best you can what the benefit is of the product that you're presenting, not just tell them what it is. I do a lot of videos for people with Amazon products. And again, when you have it in your hand, the actual product, you got to show them what the product does. It's a headlamp. I have to put the headlamp on. I have to go out in the woods at night and show how far it goes. That sort of thing. So that's my advice. I just wanted to show you how you could relate copywriting and video together. And I thank, of course, Alan and Zane and everybody here. I mean, just for some of the advice that has been presented here is invaluable. I've actually been writing it down like a cheat sheet. I really appreciate all of you showing up. Have a good night, everyone. And by the way, I am one of the keynote speakers at the JV Zoo Mayhem event. That's the 28th of August. So if you'd like to meet me, if you're going to be at that JV Zoo Mayhem, whatever they call it, Marketing Mayhem, on the 28th through 31st of this month, I'd be happy to meet whoever is watching out there. Just stop by and say hi. Say that you saw it right here, or saw me right here, and I'd like to shake your hand. Thanks again, guys.
Great advice, Todd. Very, very awesome advice. Personally, when I look at it, I see it the same exact way with copy, and then copy that you would use for a video. In fact, when I started thinking about it, when I looked at okay, how can I have YouTube marketing help internet marketers, I would read sales copy, and in my head I would see like the big headline in big red bold numbers. So I would think in my head, kind of play a little video like, okay, if somebody was reading this and they're just like, okay, on the fly, just go ahead and read this sales copy and emphasize in your vocally these different how this copy breaks down, and I think that you would get a very dynamic presentation. You'd probably get somebody like Billy Mays, right? I mean, I look at sales copy and I can kind of hear Billy Mays here, and I got this awesome deal for you. That's how it actually visually looks. So to again look at it and say, well, let's look at it from the video perspective, because you hear a lot about it when it comes to the actual written word, because only recently have we been able to do something even as advanced as live video like this. I mean, I would love sometime to be able to sit down and interview you and talk to you about video live, right? Because it's probably not that different, but there's some subtle things. So anyway, now I'm getting off track. So again, great to have you here from the perspective of the video guy, because that's also me. So great. Let's go ahead and move on with Tracy. Some final thoughts from you.
I guess my finals are: you could be the greatest copywriter in the world, but if you don't know your audience and who you're talking to, whether it's a man, whether it's a woman, if they're 45 years old, are they 20 years old, your copywriting is going to fall on deaf ears. So the very first place I take somebody is to clearly identify your target audience so that you know how to communicate effectively to them, so that you know the keywords that they're using in Google, so that in fact you can leverage those keywords in your copy and in their pain points, so that you know what their pain points are, because 20-year-old's going to have very different pain points than a 45-year-old. And a man's going to have very different issues than a woman is. And so get very specific on who your target is. Specifically talk to just that one person. You're not writing for the whole, you're writing for one. Have it resonate with that person, and it will then reach out to the rest. And if you carry that philosophy along with everything that you're writing, right off the bat you'll be more effective than a lot of people out there, simply because they are throwing out the buzzwords, or they're trying to cast their net too wide.
See, I fell victim to my own. I always tell people, unmute your mic, and here I am just babbling along, and there's this big red icon saying, you're muted. Okay, all right. Thank you, Tracy, for your thoughts here.
I thought, Zane, I thought you just had something really important you were saying to yourself.
Hold on, give me a minute. So it's just like I'll mute anyway. Okay, all right. Let's get back on track. Warren, you are the last person before Alan and I wrap this up. So lay some awesome final thoughts on us.
Well, yeah. First of all, because I was last, I've been able to notice that you are taking people in alphabetical order, and on my screen we're lined up in alphabetical order. I don't know what special tool you're using to do that. Seems really awesome. I don't think it'll help anybody sell anything, but it's really awesome. I said it at the start, and it's the one thing that I know to be true about everything in life. Tell me about anything where human beings are not looking for connection and a chance to share stories. And if you get involved in that and helping them do that, everything else is going to work out just fine. One of the things I keep hearing lately is people talking about this or that, and it comes down to how do I persuade somebody. Others might call that manipulation. We had a reference to that earlier. But yeah, if you want to persuade somebody today, persuasion that looks like persuasion is third-rate persuasion. So don't look like you're persuading somebody. So break the pattern, do something different, and the easiest way to do that is just be you. And if you do that, everything else is just going to work out fine. And I can't mention persuasion without bringing up Dr. Cialdini. If you've not read Influence: The Science of Persuasion, forget about the rest of the series if you have to. Turn off the video right now and go find a copy of Dr. Cialdini's work. Cialdini. I know Alan and Zane would probably like it if you come back tomorrow, but and you can take a break in your reading to come back to tomorrow's show. But yeah, you've got to understand how people think and how you can serve them better, and you're going to be able to get connections and share stories.
Right. Yeah. Being genuine and understanding your audience. I mean, that seems like the common core theme that everybody can agree on.